I found out my husband stole $847,000 from my savings account to fund his ex-girlfriend's luxury boutique business. But here's the thing they didn't know about me. I'm a corporate acquisitions lawyer. And 6 months later, I didn't just take my money back. I bought their entire company for pennies on the dollar, walked into their boardroom, and shut it down while they both watched. This is that story, and trust me, you're going to want to hear how a cheating husband and his manipulative ex-girlfriend went from sipping champagne in their penthouse office to bankruptcy court. My name is Rebecca. I'm 34, and this is the most expensive mistake my husband ever made. Let me take you back to where this all started. 3 years ago, I thought I had it all figured out. I was 31. Partner track at Morrison & Fletcher, one of the top corporate law firms in Chicago. My specialty: mergers and acquisitions. Basically, I helped rich people buy other rich people's companies. I was making $380,000 a year, plus bonuses. My husband David was 36. We'd been married for 5 years. He worked in tech sales, made decent money, around $120,000 a year. Not partner at a law firm money, but respectable. We lived in a beautiful brownstone in Lincoln Park. 2 cars. Vacations to Europe every summer. From the outside, we were the perfect power couple. But here's what I didn't know. David had a past. And that past had a name. Vanessa. Now, I knew about Vanessa. David had told me about her early in our relationship. They dated for 4 years in their 20s. She was his first real love, his words, not mine. They broke up when she moved to New York for some fashion industry job. He showed me pictures once. She was beautiful, I'll give her that. Tall, blonde, that effortless, expensive look. The kind of woman who wears white jeans and doesn't spill coffee on them. But David told me it was ancient history. They hadn't spoken in over 8 years. He was over it. He loved me now, and I believed him. God. I believed him. We got married at this gorgeous vineyard in Napa. His parents cried. My dad gave this beautiful speech about how David was the son he never had. It was perfect. Year 1 of marriage. Blissful. We were those annoying couples who still held hands at dinner. Year 2. We bought the brownstone. Started talking about kids. Maybe in a year or 2, we said, year 3, I made partner at the firm. Partner at 32. I was the youngest woman in the firm's history to make partner. David threw me this huge surprise party. Champagne, all our friends. He gave this toast about how proud he was of me, how I was going to change the world. I remember thinking, this is it. This is the life I worked for. Year 4. That's when things started getting weird. It started small. David was on his phone more. Not texting, just scrolling. Distracted. He started going to the gym at odd hours. 6 a.m., sometimes 9 p.m. He'd get phone calls and step out of the room. Work stuff, he'd say. But I'm a lawyer. I notice patterns. I notice when stories don't line up. One night I asked him directly, is everything okay? You seem distant. Looked me right in the eye and said, babe, I'm just stressed about hitting my sales quotas. Nothing to worry about. I wanted to believe him, so I did that. Was my first mistake. The day everything changed was a Tuesday in March 17th. I remember because it was St. Patrick's Day, and my firm was having this ridiculous green-themed happy hour. I was home early around 4 p.m. because I had a migraine, one of those splitting headaches where light feels like knives in your brain. David wasn't home. He'd texted me he had a client dinner. I went upstairs, took some Excedrin, and decided to pay some bills too. Distract myself from the PAIN, I logged into our joint checking account. First, normal, mortgage payment went through, utilities, everything. Fine. Then I decided to check my personal savings account. My savings account was my safety net. Money I'd been putting away since before I even met David. Money from bonuses from my parents, from smart investments. It was my money. In my name only, I had been diligent about it. Every big bonus I got, I'd put half in savings. For our future. For our kids' college funds someday. for emergencies. The last time I checked it, maybe 2 months prior, it had $847,329 in it. I logged in, the balance read $4,127. I stared at the screen. $4,000. I refreshed the page. Same number. My heart started pounding. This had to be a mistake. A bank error, fraud, someone hacked my account. I clicked on transaction history, and that's when I saw it. 15 transfers, ranging from $15,000 to $120,000. All over the past 11 months, all going to the same account. Looks and Laurel LLC. Didn't recognize the name. My hands were shaking. I grabbed my phone and called the bank's fraud department. The representative pulled up my account. Yes, Mrs. Chen, I see the transfers. But these aren't fraudulent. They were authorized transfers with your account password and security answers. That's impossible, I said. I didn't authorize these. Well, someone with access to your account information did. Do you share your passwords with anyone? My blood ran cold. David. We had a shared password manager for household stuff. Netflix, Amazon, utilities. But my bank password was in there too. I'd added it years ago when we were traveling and needed him to transfer money for something. I never thought. I hung up with the bank. My migraine was gone, replaced by pure adrenaline. I immediately Googled Looks and Laurel LLC. The first result was an Instagram page. 14,000 followers. The profile picture was a sleek logo. Gold lettering. The bio read, Luxury Sustainable Fashion for the Modern Woman. Founded by Vanessa Laurent. Vanessa. I clicked on the page. Photo after photo of a gorgeous boutique. Marble floors, gold fixtures, racks of expensive-looking clothing. Vanessa in every other photo, wearing designer outfits, sipping champagne at launch parties. And in a few photos, there he was. David. Not tagged, but clearly visible in the background of a grand opening post from 7 months ago. Then another photo. A team celebration post. David, Vanessa. And 3 other people holding champagne glasses. The caption. Couldn't have done this without our amazing investors and supporters. I felt like I was going to throw up. I scrolled further back on the Instagram page. The business had launched exactly 11 months ago. The same month the first transfer left my account. I sat there on my bed, phone in my shaking hands, and I did the math. $843,000 he had stolen. $843,000 from me to fund his ex-girlfriend's business for 11 months. He had been lying to my face, going to client dinners, gym sessions, work trips, days with her, building a business. With my money, I don't know how long I sat there. Could have been 10 minutes, could have been an hour, but eventually the shock wore off, and it was replaced by something else, something cold, something sharp. Rage. Pure, calculated rage. But I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't throw things because I'm a lawyer, and lawyers don't react. We strategize. I took a screenshot of every single transaction, every Instagram post, every piece of evidence I could find. Then I opened my laptop and started researching. I pulled the LLC filing for Looks and Laurel. Public record, registered in Illinois. 11 months ago, owners Vanessa Laurent, 60%. David Chen, 40%, closing parenthesis, my husband owned 40% of a company, funded with my money. But here's the thing, they didn't. No. Vanessa and David were playing boutique. Business, I was a corporate acquisitions lawyer who'd closed $2 billion in deals they brought. A knife to a gunfight. And I was about to show them what a real hostile takeover looked like. I didn't confront David that night when he came home at 9 p.m., smelling like expensive perfume and with a garment bag from some restaurant. I was in bed reading a book. Hey, babe, he said, kissing my forehead. How's the migraine? Better, I said calmly. He smiled. Got in the shower, came to bed, fell asleep. I lay there next to him, staring at the ceiling, and I made a decision. I wasn't going to react emotionally. I wasn't going to scream or cry or throw him out. I was going to be smart. I was going to gather evidence, build a case, and then I was going to destroy them both legally, financially, completely. The next morning, I called in sick to work. First time in 3 years. Then I got to work. First priority, make sure he couldn't take anything else. I called my bank and locked down my savings account. Changed all the passwords. Added two-factor authentication. Removed David from anything that had access to my money. Then I reviewed our joint accounts. Made sure nothing else was missing. It wasn't. He'd only targeted my savings. The one account he thought I wouldn't check regularly. Smart. But not smart enough. I'm not proud of this, but I went through David's laptop. He'd left it at home, charging in his office. No password, just Touch ID. But his MacBook was already open. I went through everything. Emails, texts, cloud drives, and oh my God, the emails, hundreds of them between. David and Vanessa. Going back 14 months, it started innocently enough. She'd reached out on LinkedIn. Hey, I'm back in Chicago. Would love to catch up. Then coffee. Then lunch. Then I have this amazing business idea. Sustainable luxury fashion. But I need investors. And David, like an idiot, said, I might know someone. That someone was my money. The emails got more detailed. Business plans. Financial projections. Lease agreements for a retail space in Gold Coast, one of the most expensive neighborhoods in Chicago. And then the personal stuff. I've missed you. This feels like old times. Don't tell Rebecca yet. She won't understand the business opportunity. I actually laughed at that one. A bitter, hollow laugh. She won't understand the business opportunity. Lady, I negotiate billion-dollar mergers. I think I understand business, but the worst email was from 8 months ago. David to Vanessa. Transferred another $85,000. This should cover the inventory order and the marketing campaign. Can't wait to see you at the launch party. Vanessa to David. You're amazing. This is your dream coming true. Rebecca is so lucky to have you. She just doesn't know how to appreciate you like I do. I had to close the laptop. Because if I kept reading, I was going to smash it. Next. I did what I do best. Corporate research. I pulled every public record I could find on Looks and Laurel LLC. Business licenses, tax filings, lease agreements, vendor contracts. And here's what I learned. The boutique had opened 7 months ago in a 2,500 square foot retail space on Oak Street. Rent $18,000 per month. They'd spent $250,000 on build-out and interior design. Marble floors, custom lighting, gold fixtures. Another $180,000 on initial inventory. High-end sustainable fashion brands. Dresses that cost $800, jeans for $400. $120,000 on marketing, Instagram ads, influencer partnerships. A launch party that cost $35,000. They'd hired 4 employees. Full-time salaries plus benefits. Total startup costs. Roughly $780,000. Almost exactly what David had stolen from me. But here's the interesting part. The business was bleeding money. I pulled their social media engagement numbers. Lots of followers. Lots of likes. But when I checked their Yelp reviews and Google reviews, only 127 reviews total. For a 7-month-old boutique in a prime location, that's not great. I called a friend who works in retail analytics. Asked her to run some numbers for me as a favor for a case. She came back 2 days later. Rebecca, whoever owns this boutique is in trouble. Based on foot traffic data, social engagement, and comparable retail performance, I'd estimate they're doing maybe $40,000 in monthly revenue. But their fixed costs alone are probably $65,000 a month. They're losing money every single month. I smiled. They were failing, and they had nitrogen monoxide idea what was coming. Now came the lawyer. PARTI consulted with 3 different attorneys: divorce, fraud, corporate. Here's what I learned. Criminal charges: David had committed financial fraud. Unauthorized access to my account: theft. But pressing charges was complicated. Would take years. Divorce: Illinois is a no-fault divorce state, but financial misconduct matters in asset division. I could take him for everything. Civil, lawsuit. I could sue both David and Vanessa for fraud, embezzlement, and unjust enrichment. But all of those options were ... slow, messy, public, and I wanted something better. I wanted revenge that hit them where it hurt most, their precious boutique. See? The beautiful thing about corporate law is this: everything is for sale. Everything has a price. And if you know how to structure a deal, you can buy anything, even your husband's mistress's failing business. So I made a plan that would take months. That would require patience, strategy, and a little bit of ruthlessness. But when it was done, ... they wouldn't just lose the business, they'd lose everything. For the next 3 months, I lived a double life. At home, I was the perfect wife, supportive, loving, oblivious. David would come home late. No problem, babe. Work must be crazy. He'd be on his phone during dinner. I'd just smile and talk about my day. Weekend trip to visit his college buddy. Have fun. Bring me back a souvenir. I played the role flawlessly, because every night while David slept next to me, I was working, building my case, planning my takeover. Let me walk you through exactly what I did. I set up a secret cloud drive, backed up every email, every transaction, every piece of evidence. I hired a private investigator. Cost me $8,000, but worth every penny. Within 2 weeks, he came back with photos of David and Vanessa at restaurants, holding hands, kissing. Video footage of David entering Vanessa's apartment building, staying overnight. Credit card records showing David had been paying for dinners, hotels, gifts. Phone records showing hundreds of calls and texts between them. The PI's final report was 47 pages long. It was beautiful now. I couldn't directly interfere with their business. That would be illegal, but I could make things difficult. Remember, I'm a corporate lawyer. I know exactly how businesses failed, so I made some calls, anonymous calls first. I contacted their landlord's management company. Mentioned I'd heard they might be having financial trouble. Suggested they might want to verify insurance and security deposits were up to date. The landlord did a routine audit. Found some minor permit issues. Nothing major, but enough to require expensive fixes. Second, I reached out to a few of the luxury brands they were stocking, through a shell company I set up. I contacted the brand's regional reps and expressed interest in opening a competing boutique. Suddenly, Lux and Laurel's exclusive vendor agreements weren't so exclusive anymore. Third, I used some connections in commercial real estate. Word quietly spread that the Oak Street retail space might be available soon. Other luxury retailers started sniffing around, asking questions. Pressure started building. None of this was illegal. All of it was public information and legitimate business inquiry. But together, it created chaos. I also did something sneaky. I befriended one of their employees. Her name was Jessica, 24 years old. Worked as a sales associate at Lux and Laurel. How'd I meet her? I walked into the boutique. Yep, I walked right into my husband's mistress's store. It was a Saturday afternoon. David was at a sales conference, actually, probably with Vanessa. I wore sunglasses and a hat, dressed casually. Vanessa wasn't there that day. I'd checked her Instagram story first. She was at some brand meeting in New York. I browsed the racks, looked at $600 dresses, smiled at Jessica. First time here? She asked cheerfully. Yes. I saw you guys on Instagram. Gorgeous store. We chatted. She was sweet, enthusiastic, clearly didn't know. She was working for a sinking ship. I bought a $300 scarf. Paid cash. As I was leaving, I accidentally dropped my business card. Jessica picked it up. Oh, you're a lawyer. Corporate law, I said. Hey, if you ever want to chat about business stuff, career advice, whatever. Feel free to reach out. I love helping young professionals. 2 weeks later, Jessica emailed me. We met for coffee. She told me everything, how the boutique was struggling, how they'd had to cut employee hours because sales were down, how Vanessa was stressed all the time, how there was tension between Vanessa and her business partner David about money. They argue a lot, Jessica said. Vanessa thinks they need to invest more in marketing. The partner thinks they're spending too much. It's awkward. I nodded sympathetically. That's tough. Partnerships can be hard. Kay, I actually really like working there, but I'm worried about job security, you know? I gave her my best concern mentor face. Have you thought about looking for backup options? I could introduce you to some people at other retailers. She lit up. Really? That would be amazing. Hook, line, and sinker. Jessica became my inside source. She didn't know she was feeding me intelligence, but every coffee chat, she'd mention sales numbers, inventory problems, cash flow issues. It was perfect. By month 3 of my investigation, I had everything I needed. Now it was time to make my move. But I needed to do it carefully. See? If I just sued David and Vanessa, they could liquidate assets, hide money, drag things out in court for years. No, I needed them to think everything was fine. So, I did something brilliant. I went to David with a fake problem. One night at dinner, I put on my worried face. Babe, I need to talk to you about something. He looked up from his phone. What's wrong? I just found out my firm is restructuring. They're asking partners to take a temporary pay cut, 20%. For the next 6 months, his face fell. What? That's insane. Can they do that legally? Yes. Partnership agreement allows it during financial downturns. This was, of course, a complete lie. My firm was doing great. But David didn't know that. So our income is going to take a hit, he asked. Yeah, significant hit. We might need to tighten our budget. Maybe cut back on some expenses. I watched his face carefully. He looked panicked. How much are we talking? He asked. About $6,000 less per month in take-home. He went pale. Because here's what I realized. David was probably secretly funneling our joint money into the boutique, too. It's not just my savings. And if our household income dropped, he'd have less to siphon off. We'll figure it out, he said weakly. That night, I heard him on the phone in his office. Door closed. Talking in hushed tones. The next morning, I checked the boutique's Instagram. Vanessa had posted, "Exciting news coming soon." I smiled. They were getting desperate. And desperate people make mistakes. 2 weeks later, I made my move. I set up a shell corporation, Blackstone Retail Ventures, LLC, hired a business broker to act as my representative, and made an offer to buy Looks and Laurel. The broker called Vanessa directly. Ms. Laurent, my client, is very interested in acquiring boutique retail spaces in the Chicago area. We've been monitoring Looks and Laurel's performance, and we'd like to discuss a potential acquisition. I listened to the recorded call later. The broker sent me the audio. Vanessa's voice, surprised but intrigued. "Oh, we're not really looking to sell. We understand, but we're prepared to make a very competitive offer. Would you be open to a conversation?" Silence. "Then what kind of offer?" "We'd need to see your financials first, of course. But we're thinking in the range of $1.2 million for the business, inventory, and brand assets." I could practically hear her brain working. $1.2 million? They'd put in $780,000. Of my money, they were losing money every month. And someone was offering them a $420,000 profit. Let me talk to my business partner," Vanessa said. "Of course. We'll send over an NDA and preliminary term sheet." "Take your time." 3 days later, Vanessa and David signed the NDA. They took the meeting, and they had no idea who they were really negotiating with. The meeting was held at a downtown conference room. Neutral territory. My broker, a guy named Marcus, who I'd worked with on actual deals before and who owed me a favor. Sat across from Vanessa and David. I watched via live stream from my office. Marcus had set up a hidden camera in his briefcase. Completely legal in Illinois since he was a party to the conversation. I watched on my laptop, eating popcorn. This was better than any movie. Vanessa walked in first. She looked exactly like her Instagram photos. Designer dress. Perfect hair. That confident smile of someone who thinks they're about to get rich. Then David walked in behind her. My husband. The man I'd shared a bed with for 5 years. The man who'd stolen nearly $1 million from me. He looked nervous, kept adjusting his tie. Good, he should be. Marcus stood up, shook their hands. Thank you for meeting with me. Can I get you water? Coffee? Water would be great, Vanessa said, sitting down. She crossed her legs and opened a leather portfolio. It's very professional. David sat next to her. A little too close. Marcus poured water, then got down to business. So I've reviewed the preliminary financials you sent over. The business has some interesting potential, but I have some questions. Vanessa smiled. Of course. What would you like to know? Well, according to your P&L statements, you're showing gross revenue of $340,000 over 7 months. But your expenses are running about $65,000 per month. That's a net loss of roughly $115,000 since opening. Vanessa's smile tightened. We're still in our growth phase. It takes time to build a luxury brand. Our customer base is expanding every month. Marcus nodded. I understand. But your customer retention rate is only 23%. That's low for luxury retail. Most successful boutiques see 40 to 50% repeat customers within the first year. I watched David shift uncomfortably. Vanessa's jaw clenched. We're implementing a new loyalty program. That will improve retention. That requires capital, Marcus said, which brings me to my next question. Your current cash reserves are approximately $47,000. At your current burn rate, you have about 8 weeks of runway left. What's your plan if you don't secure additional funding? Silence. Vanessa looked at David. David looked at his hands. We're exploring options, Vanessa said carefully. Marcus leaned back. Ms. Laurent, Mr. Chen, I'm going to be direct with you. My client is interested in acquiring your business, but not at $1.2 million. Your financials don't support that valuation. What are you saying? David asked, speaking for the first time. I'm saying we'd be willing to offer $650,000. That includes the business entity, all inventory, brand assets, customer database, and the assumption of your current lease obligations. Vanessa's face went red. That's insulting. We've invested over $800,000 in this business. I understand, Marcus said smoothly. But investment doesn't equal value. The business is operating at a loss. Without immediate capital infusion, you'll be bankrupt in 2 months. Our offer represents a 30% premium over your actual current asset value, which our assessment places at around $500,000. We'll find other investors, Vanessa snapped. Have you tried? Marcus asked. Silence. Look, Marcus said, softening his tone. I'm not trying to lowball you. I'm giving you a realistic exit. If you walk away with $650,000 split between the two of you, that's $390,000 for you, Ms. Laurent. And $260,000 for Mr. Chen, based on your ownership split. You clear your debts and you move on. I watched David's face. He was doing the math. $260,000 for him, minus the $843,000 he'd stolen from me and lost in a failing business. He was still in the hole over half. $1 million. But if he didn't take the deal, he'd have nothing. And I'd still find out eventually. Can we have a moment to discuss? Vanessa asked. Of course. I'll step outside. Marcus left the room. The camera was still recording. I watched Vanessa and David argue. This is bullshit, Vanessa hissed. We're worth more than this, are we? David said. Be honest, Ness. We're bleeding money. This guy is right. We have 2 months left, max, so we find more investors. Where? We've already tapped everyone we know. I've put in everything I have. Liar, he'd put in my money. We could take out a loan, Vanessa suggested. Against what? We don't have collateral. The business is underwater. Vanessa sat back, defeated. I can't believe this is happening. This was supposed to be our thing. Our dream. David reached over and took her hand. I know, but maybe this is the smart play. We take the money, we regroup, we try again later. With what money? Vanessa said bitterly. After we split it and pay off the debts, we'll have barely anything left. David didn't have an answer. They sat in silence for a long moment. Then Vanessa said, Fine, let's take the deal. But I want $700,000. Marcus came back in, they negotiated back and forth. Finally, they settled on $680,000. We'll need to see proof of funds, Vanessa said. Of course, we'll have our attorneys draw up the purchase agreement. Closing in 30 days. They shook hands. I watched David sign the term sheet. He had no idea he'd just sold his mistress's business to his wife. I finished my popcorn, and I smiled. Over the next 30 days, Marcus and a team of corporate attorneys who I'd hired but who had no idea I was the actual buyer conducted due diligence. They requested every document, every receipt. Every contract, bank statements, tax returns, vendor agreements, lease terms, employee contracts. All of it. Vanessa and David scrambled to provide everything, and with every document. I gathered more evidence. Email chains showing David had used my money without my knowledge. Financial records showing he'd commingled marital funds with business funds. Text messages between him and Vanessa discussing how to hide the business from me. One text from David to Vanessa from 10 months ago. Rebecca is so buried in work right now, she doesn't even check her savings account. We're good. I saved that one to my phone. I looked at it every time I felt bad about what I was doing, then I stopped feeling bad. Closing day was set for a Friday in June. The meeting was at a law office downtown. A neutral attorney would handle the escrow and transfer of funds. Vanessa and David showed up in expensive clothes. They looked happy, relieved. They thought they were about to get $680,000. They thought they were escaping a sinking ship. They had no idea. They were walking into an ambush. Marcus was there, the escrow attorney, 2 other lawyers from my shell corporation, and me. I walked in 10 minutes late wearing my best power suit. Hair pulled back. Heels clicking on the marble floor. I opened the conference room door. Vanessa and David looked up. And their faces. Oh, their faces. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. David went white. Like ghost white? Vanessa's mouth fell open. Rebecca. David stammered. What? What are you doing here? I smiled. Walked to the head of the table. Set down my briefcase. Hello, David, Vanessa. I turned to Marcus. Thank you for handling the preliminary negotiations. I'll take it from here. Marcus nodded and stepped back. I looked at Vanessa and David. They were frozen, confused, panicking. I'm sorry, Vanessa said slowly. I don't understand. Why are you here? I sat down. Folded my hands on the table, 'cause I'm Blackstone Retail Ventures. I'm the buyer. Silence. Complete silence. David's face went from white to red. You. What? I'm buying your business, I said calmly. Well, my business, technically, since it was built with my money. Vanessa stood up. This is insane. David, what is she talking about? I opened my briefcase. Pulled out a folder. Slid it across the table. These are bank records showing 15 unauthorized transfers from my personal savings account, totaling $843,000, all going to Looks and Laurel LLC. Transfers made using my passwords, which only David had access to. I pulled out another folder. These are emails between you two, discussing the investment and how to hide it from me. Another folder. Are photos from a private investigator showing you two together? At restaurants. At Vanessa's apartment. Kissing. I stacked the folders neatly. And this is a purchase agreement for Looks and Laurel. LLC. $680,000. You already signed the term sheet. So let's close this deal. David was shaking. Rebecca, I can explain. No, I said coldly. You can't. You stole from me. You lied to me. You betrayed me. For her, I looked at Vanessa. And you knowingly helped him commit fraud? You knew that money wasn't his to give. Vanessa's face was pale. I didn't know it was yours. David said it was his investment money. Don't lie, I said. You have an email from 8 months ago where you literally wrote, Rebecca is so lucky to have you. She just doesn't know how to appreciate you like I do. You knew he was married. UKNEW, where the money was coming from. She sat down slowly. David put his head in his hands. I continued. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to sign this purchase agreement. I'm going to buy your failing business for $680,000 and then I'm going to shut it down. You can't do this, David whispered. I absolutely can. You already agreed to the terms. The term sheet is binding. You can't do this, David whispered. I absolutely can. You already agreed to the terms. The term sheet is binding. And if you try to back out now, I will sue you both for breach of contract. On top of the fraud charges I'm already filing. Vanessa looked like she might throw up. Fraud charges. Oh yes, I said, pulling out another folder. I've already filed a police report. Unauthorized access to financial accounts, theft, embezzlement of marital assets. The DA is very interested in your case, David. Let that sink in. Then I leaned forward. But here's the thing. I'm giving you both an option. A way out. They looked up at me, desperate. Do you sign this purchase agreement? Right now, I buy the business. You walk away with $680,000 split between you. And I don't press criminal charges. That's it. Vanessa asked. You just let us go. I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Well, there's one more thing. David signs divorce papers. He walks away from our marriage with nothing. No claim to the house. No claim to any of my assets. He takes his personal belongings and his half of the business proceeds $272,000, and that's it. That's not fair, David said weakly. Illinois is a no-fault state. I'm entitled to half of your entitled to nothing, I snapped. You stole almost $1 million from me. You committed fraud. You want to talk about fair? Let's go to court. Let's let a judge decide. I have 17 attorneys at my firm who would love to take this case. How many do you have? David slumped in his chair. Sign the papers, I said. Or I bury you. Both of you. Criminally and civilly. Your choice. I slid 2 documents across the table. The purchase agreement. And divorce papers. You have 5 minutes to decide. I stood up and walked to the window. Looked out at the Chicago skyline. Behind me, I heard frantic whispering. Vanessa and David arguing in hushed tones. This is insane, ... We don't have a choice, ... You said she'd never find out, ... I didn't think, you didn't think? You destroyed everything. Their partnership was fracturing in real time. Finally, after 4 minutes, David spoke. I'll sign. I turned around. He looked broken, defeated. Where do I sign? He asked quietly. I walked back to the table, pointed to the signature lines. David signed the purchase agreement first, then the divorce papers. His hand was shaking so badly he could barely hold the pen. Vanessa signed next. She was crying silently, mascara running down her face. I signed last. The escrow attorney notarized everything. The funds will be transferred within 24 hours, the attorney said. Ms. Chen, I'm sorry. You'll be Ms. Morrison again. You'll have full ownership of Looks and Laurel LLC as of Monday morning. I nodded. Then I looked at David and Vanessa. You can go now. David stood up slowly. He looked at me, opened his mouth like he wanted to say something. "Don't," I said. "Don't you dare apologize. Don't you dare try to explain. Just leave." He left off. Vanessa stood up, grabbed her purse, and followed him at the door. She turned back. "You're a cold bitch," she said. I smiled. "No, sweetheart. I'm a lawyer. There's a difference." She left. The door closed. I sat there in the conference room, surrounded by folders of evidence and signed contracts. Marcus looked at me. "That was the most brutal closing I've ever witnessed." "Good," I said. I packed up my briefcase, walked out of that office, and I felt absolutely nothing. No relief. No satisfaction. Not yet, because I wasn't done. The real revenge was about to begin. Weekend was the strangest of my life. David came to the house on Saturday morning with his brother to get his things. I wasn't there. I'd gone to a hotel. I couldn't watch him pack up 5 years of our life into boxes. My lawyer had changed the locks anyway. David had to text me for the new key code. I sent it without comment. By Sunday evening, he was gone. The house felt empty. Too big. Too quiet. I walked through the rooms we'd decorated together. The kitchen where we'd cooked dinner. The living room where we'd watched movies. I expected to cry, but I didn't. I was too angry, and I had work to do. At 9 a.m., I walked into Lux and Laurel as the new owner. I'd called ahead and scheduled a staff meeting for 9:30. When I arrived, all 4 employees were there, including Jessica, who did a double take when she saw me. "Rebecca, what are you doing here?" "I own the store now," I said simply. "As of this morning." Shock on all their faces. I'd prepared a severance package for each of them. 2 months' salary plus job placement assistance. They were good people. They didn't deserve to suffer because of Vanessa and David's mess. "I'm shutting down the business," I told them, effective immediately. "This is not a reflection on any of you. You're all talented, and I've already reached out to 3 other retailers who are hiring. I'll provide references for anyone who needs them." I handed out envelopes with severance checks. Jessica was crying. "I don't understand." The business was doing fine. "No, it wasn't," I said gently. "It was losing $25,000 a month. It would have closed in weeks anyway. This way, at least you all get severance." They thanked me, collected their personal items by 11 a.m. The store was empty. I stood alone in the boutique, surrounded by racks of expensive clothes and gold fixtures. Then I made some calls. I hired a commercial liquidation company. They specialized in retail inventory clearance. "I need everything sold fast. I don't care about getting full price. I want it gone in 2 weeks. We can do a warehouse sale," the rep said. "Advertise it as a closing sale. 60 to 70% off everything. We'll clear you out. Perfect." The sale was scheduled for the following weekend. I called the landlord. "Hi, this is Rebecca Morrison. I'm the new owner of the Lux and Laurel space. I'd like to discuss early lease termination." The landlord was thrilled. Turns out, Vanessa had been 2 months behind on rent and had been dodging his calls. "I'll pay the early termination fee plus the back rent," I said. "In exchange, I want out of the lease by the end of the month." "Done. I already have 3 retailers interested in the space." I bet he did. Prime Oak Street real estate doesn't stay vacant long. I contacted a corporate attorney, not from my firm, someone independent. "I need to dissolve an LLC, liquidate all assets, close all business accounts. I want this company to cease to exist." "How quickly?" 30 days. "I can do that." I took over the Lux and Laurel Instagram account, changed the password. Vanessa had been locked out of the business email, so she couldn't recover it. I posted one final message. "After much consideration, Lux and Laurel will be permanently closing. Thank you to our customers for your support. All remaining inventory will be sold at our warehouse liquidation sale this Saturday. Everything must go." Within an hour, there were 300 comments. "Oh my God, now you're doomed. This was my favorite store. What happened? Is Vanessa okay?" I didn't respond to any of them. I just watched the chaos unfold. That Saturday, we held a liquidation sale in a warehouse space I'd rented in River North. I hired security and checkout staff. We opened at 9 a.m. By 8:30. There was a line of 200 people around the block, apparently. Nothing attracts customers like a going out of business sale. The doors opened. It was a frenzy. Women grabbing $800 dresses for $240. Designer jeans for $120. Shoes, accessories, everything. We had 15 checkout stations running nonstop. By 2 p.m., 80% of the inventory was gone. By 5 p.m., we were sold out. I stood in the empty warehouse, surrounded by bare racks and shopping bags. The liquidation company handed me a check. $287,000. Not bad for one day's work. Add that to the proceeds from other asset sales, furniture, fixtures, equipment, and I'd recovered about $340,000 total. Still nowhere near the $843,000 David had stolen. But it was something the first week after the closing was strange. I moved through my life on autopilot, went to work, came home to an empty house, ordered takeout, went to bed. My phone buzzed constantly. Text messages from David, dozens of them. Please, can we talk? I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. It was a mistake. I love you. I blocked his number. Emails from Vanessa's attorney. Vague threats about exploring legal options and unfair business practices. My attorney responded with a single sentence. My client welcomes any legal challenge. Please proceed. We never heard from them again. I also got calls from friends, mutual friends, David's friends. Rebecca, we heard about the divorce. Are you okay? What happened? Is there anything we can do? I gave everyone the same response. We grew apart. I'd rather not discuss it. I didn't tell anyone the truth. Not yet. I wanted them to figure it out on their own by week 2. Word was spreading. Chicago's a big city. But the social circles are small. People started putting pieces together. Vanessa's Instagram followers noticed she deleted all mentions of looks and Laurel. Then they noticed she deleted all photos with David. Then someone found the liquidation sale photos and posted them on a Chicago boutique shopping forum. Wait, didn't Looks and Laurel just open like 6 months ago? Why are they closing? I heard the owner got divorced. I heard there was some kind of financial scandal. The speculation was delicious. I watched it all unfold from a distance. Meanwhile, I focused on rebuilding my own life. I threw myself into work, took on 3 new client cases, worked 70-hour weeks. My firm was incredibly supportive. My managing partner called me into his office. Rebecca, I heard about your divorce. I'm sorry. Thank you. Take whatever time you need. Your caseload can be redistributed if I don't need time, I said. I need to work. He studied me for a moment, then nodded. All right, but if you need anything, I'll let you know. Work was good. Work made sense. Work had rules and logic and outcomes I could control, unlike my personal life. 3 weeks after the closing, got a call from my private investigator. Ms. Morrison, thought you'd want to know. Your ex-husband and Ms. Laurent split up. I sat up. What? Yeah. Apparently there was a big fight at her apartment 2 nights ago. Neighbors called the cops for a noise complaint. No arrests, but witnesses. Say David left with a suitcase and didn't come back. I shouldn't have smiled, but I did. Any idea where he went? I asked. Moved back in with his parents in Naperville. It's been job hunting. No luck so far. Word in his industry is that his reputation took a hit when news spread about the boutique closing. Of course it did. Tech sales is a relationship business. People talk, and David's name was now associated with a failed business venture and a messy divorce. What about Vanessa? I asked. She's still in Chicago, but she's moving at the end of the month. Heard she took a job in Denver, marketing position. Big pay cut from what she was making before. Ah! I thanked him and hung up. Their partnership hadn't just collapsed. It had imploded, just like I knew it would. Because here's the thing about affairs built on betrayal. They don't last. When the excitement fades and reality sets in, there's nothing left but resentment and blame. David blamed Vanessa for dragging him into the business. Vanessa blamed David for not having enough money to keep it afloat. They tore each other apart, and I didn't have to lift a finger by week 4. The divorce was finalized, quick and clean. David didn't contest anything. Couldn't afford a lawyer anyway. I kept the house, my retirement accounts, my savings, what was left of it, everything. He walked away with his clothes, his car, and his share of the boutique sale, $272,000, which, after taxes and paying off some personal debts, probably left him with about $180,000. Nowhere near what he'd stolen from me, but he'd have to live with that. I, on the other hand, was free. Legally, financially, emotionally, well, Working on that last part. A month after the divorce finalized, I did something I probably shouldn't have. I drove to Naperville, to David's parents' house. I didn't plan to go inside. I just wanted to see it. I parked down the street and I saw David. He was in the driveway washing a car. His dad's old Camry. He looked terrible, unshaven, thinner, older. I sat there in my car, watching him, and I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no satisfaction, just emptiness. This man had been my husband, my partner, the person I thought I'd spend my life with, and now he was a stranger who'd destroyed everything we'd built because he was too weak to say no to his past. I started the car and drove away. I never saw him again. The next few months were about rebuilding. I sold the brownstone. Too many memories. Bought a sleek condo in the West Loop. Modern, clean, no history. I redecorated. New furniture. New art, new everything. I went to therapy. Twice a week, my therapist was a no-nonsense woman in her 60s named Dr. Patricia. "Tell me how you're feeling," she said in our first session. Angry, betrayed, stupid. Why stupid? Because I didn't see it. I'm a lawyer. I'm supposed to notice details, and I missed all the signs. You trusted your husband? That's not stupid. That's human. I shook my head. I should have known. Rebecca, you can't live your life looking for betrayal around every corner. That's not living. That's surviving. Maybe surviving is safer. Maybe, she said. But is it enough? I didn't have an answer. We worked through it. Session by session. The anger. The trust issues. The fear that I'd never be able to let anyone close again. It was hard work. Harder than any case I'd ever tried. But slowly, I started to heal. For months after the boutique closed, the story went public. A reporter for a Chicago business magazine was doing a piece on failed retail startups. Looks and Laurel made the list. The article was titled, "5 Chicago Boutiques That Couldn't Make It and Why." The Looks and Laurel section was brief. Looks and Laurel, a sustainable luxury boutique on Oak Street, closed after just 7 months in operation. The business, founded by Vanessa Laurent and an unnamed investor, struggled with high overhead costs and low customer retention. The boutique was eventually sold to a private buyer who liquidated all assets. Industry experts cite the closure as an example of insufficient market research and undercapitalization. Short, factual, public. The article was shared on social media. People I knew started reaching out. My God. "Rebecca, did you see this? Wasn't this your husband's ex-girlfriend's store? I heard David was involved in this. Is that true? Is this why you got divorced?" I didn't confirm or deny anything. I just said it was a difficult time. I'd rather not discuss it, but the dots were connecting. People figured it out, and suddenly, David and Vanessa were the villains of the story. Invitations dried up. Social circles closed. Mutual friends stopped inviting David to events. Vanessa's Instagram engagement plummeted. People unfollowed her in droves. The court of public opinion had delivered its verdict, 6 months after everything imploded. I finally felt like I could breathe again. I was excelling at work. Made 2 major deals that brought in huge revenue for the firm. My managing partner pulled me aside. "Rebecca, I don't know what you're going through personally, but professionally, you're on fire. Keep this up and you'll be on the executive committee in 2 years." I smiled. A real smile. "Thank you. That means a lot." I'd also started dating again. Nothing serious. Just coffee dates, dinners, testing the waters, learning to trust again. It was terrifying, but also exciting one night. I went out with a guy named Marcus. Different Marcus, not the broker. This Marcus was a cardiologist. We had dinner at a nice Italian place. He was charming, funny, easy to talk to at the end of the night. He walked me to my car. "I had a really nice time," he said. "Me too. Can I see you again?" I hesitated. Old fears creeping in. What if he lies? What if he cheats? What if I'm not enough? Then I remembered what Dr. Patricia said. You can't live looking for betrayal. That's not living. I smiled. Yes, I'd like that. He kissed me goodnight, and for the first time in months, I felt hope. 8 months after the divorce, I got an email from David. Subject line, "I'm sorry." Almost deleted it, but curiosity got the better of me. I opened it. "Rebecca, I know you don't want to hear from me. I know I don't deserve your time or your forgiveness, but I need you to know I'm sorry. I'm sorry for lying. I'm sorry for stealing. I'm sorry for betraying you in every possible way. I was weak. I was selfish. I was an idiot. Vanessa and I. It was a fantasy, a stupid, destructive fantasy. I convinced myself I was investing in a business, but really, I was just running away from reality, from you, from us, from the life we'd built, and I destroyed it all. You deserved so much better. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to respond. I just wanted you to know. Losing you was the biggest mistake of my life. I hope you're happy. I hope you found peace. You always deserved that." David, I read it twice. Then I closed my laptop. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. His apology didn't change anything. It didn't undo the betrayal. It didn't erase the pain, but it also didn't hurt me anymore. I'd moved on. 1 year after the day I discovered the theft, I was sitting in my new condo, sipping wine, looking out at the Chicago skyline. My phone buzzed. A text from Jessica, the former Looks and Laurel employee. "Hey, Rebecca. Just wanted to say thank you again for everything you did. I got promoted to assistant manager at my new job. Hope you're doing well." I smiled and texted back, "That's amazing. Congratulations. You earned it." It felt good. Helping her had been one of the few bright spots in the whole mess. I thought about everything that had happened. The betrayal, the investigation, the takedown, the divorce. I'd lost $843,000. 5 years of marriage. A life I thought I'd built. But I'd gained something too. I'd gained my power back. My agency. My sense of self. I'd learned I was stronger than I ever knew. I'd learned I could survive anything. And I'd learned that revenge, when done right, isn't about destruction. It's about reclaiming what was taken. I didn't destroy David and Vanessa. They destroyed themselves. I just made sure they paid for it. 15 months after the divorce, I got a call from my attorney. "Rebecca, you're not going to believe this." "What?" "David filed for bankruptcy. His lawyer just sent notice." I sat up. "Bankruptcy?" "Yeah, Chapter 7. He's claiming he can't pay his debts." "What debts?" "Apparently, he took out personal loans to try to keep the boutique afloat after you pulled out your investment. When it crashed, he couldn't pay them back. He's underwater about $320,000. I did the math. He'd walked away from the boutique sale with $272,000. He'd blown through it all and gone deeper into debt. There's more," my attorney said. "He's claiming financial hardship. His lawyer is arguing that the divorce settlement was unfair and he should be entitled to spousal support. I laughed. Actually, laughed out loud. Spousal support. From me, it's not going anywhere. His lawyer knows it. But they're desperate. Let them try, I said. I have 47 pages of evidence showing fraud and theft. If they want to go to court, I'll bury them. We never heard from them again. David's bankruptcy went through. His credit was ruined. His career was stalled. His reputation was destroyed. All because he chose his ex-girlfriend over his wife. All because he thought he could steal from me and get away with. It's been a year and a half since that. Tuesday in March, when I logged into my savings account and discovered the betrayal. I'm 36 now. I'm still a partner at Morrison and Fletcher, still crushing it professionally. I'm still in therapy, still working on trust issues, but I'm happy. I'm dating Marcus, the cardiologist. It's been 6 months. It's good, healthy, built on honesty. He knows my story, all of it, and he's still here. That means something. I've also recovered most of my financial losses between the boutique liquidation, David's portion of the house sale, which was mine anyway, and some smart investments. I've rebuilt my savings to about $680,000. Not quite where I was, but getting there. The brownstone sold for $200,000 more than we paid for it. David didn't see a penny of that profit. I donated $100,000 to a women's financial literacy nonprofit, helping other women learn to protect their assets. It felt right. People ask me if I regret it, if I regret buying the boutique just to shut it down, if I regret going scorched earth on David and Vanessa, and honestly, no, not even a little. Because here's what people don't understand about revenge. Real revenge isn't about hurting someone. It's about taking back your power. David took my money, my trust, my future. I took it all back, and I made sure he could. Never do it to anyone else. Vanessa thought she could build an empire on stolen money and lies. I showed her what happens when you mess with someone who knows how business actually works. They thought I was just a wife, just a woman who'd cry and forgive and move on. They were wrong. I'm a corporate lawyer. I've negotiated billion-dollar deals. I've dismantled companies for a living, and they never saw me coming. If there's one thing I want people to take away from this story, it's this: know your worth, protect your assets, trust your instincts. And if someone betrays you, don't get mad, get even. Legally, strategically, completely. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. I didn't beg him to stay. I built a case. I executed a plan, and I won. Not because I'm special, but because I refused to be a victim. Last I heard, David was working at a mid-tier tech company in the suburbs. Sales rep. Making about $75,000 a year. He still lives with his parents. He's 38 years old. Vanessa moved to Denver. Got married to some guy she met on a dating app. She works in marketing for an outdoor gear company. She deleted all her social media accounts. Started fresh. Good for her, I guess. As for me, I'm thriving. I'm in the best shape of my life. Physically, emotionally, financially, I travel. I have hobbies. I have friends who love me for me. I have a career that fulfills me. And I have a future that's mine, not ours. Mine. Sometimes people say, "Aren't you bitter? Don't you hate him?" And the truth is, I don't. I don't hate David. I don't even think about him anymore. He's a footnote in my story, a chapter I've closed. The best revenge isn't making someone suffer. It's building a life so good they become irrelevant. And that's exactly what I did. So yeah, my husband stole $843,000 from me to fund his ex-girlfriend's boutique. And I bought it, shut it down, and moved on. And you know what? I'd do it again. Not because I'm cruel, but because I'm smart and I know my worth. And no one gets to take that from me.